Looney Tunes Nail Art Mural Tutorial Part 2 by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi guys! In today's video I am going to be showing you the second part of my 2019 Nails Magazine Mural Contest entry, and this is going to be painting the background stuff. So in the previous video I showed you basically the background, like sketching out the different characters and assembling the tips. So this one is going to be doing the background, so those red rings that go around the characters as well as the little Looney Tunes logo. So this is part 2. Part 3 I'll be showing you actually painting all the characters, so that will be uploaded tomorrow. So make sure you check back for that, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So to begin this background, I'm going to be doing everything except the characters in this video. So for the background, not around the characters, right, like in the little cracks and crevices, but the bigger area around the rest of the nails, I'm going to begin filling that area in with a kind of like a scarlet red, a little bit of an orangey red, a really pretty color. So with the brush just out of the gel polish bottle, I went through and I filled in as much as I can, and then I went through with a little gel brush that I have, and I touched up and I tucked it into all of the little corners and around all the characters' hands that are sticking out. I did the lower set of the lower 5 tips, and then I cured it, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the upper 5 tips. So that way you're not too worried about getting your hand stuck into some wet gel polish. And because they aren't really touching each other, it's pretty easy to do 5 and 5 and just go back and forth that way, and it makes it so that there's a less chance of it getting smudged, which is always a concern. So like I said with the first one, go through and do the biggest areas with just the brush directly from the bottle, and then fix up any areas that need it with a smaller gel painting brush. After you have that done, now I'm going to take a burgundy color or a darker red color gel polish, and with that smaller brush I'm going to outline another circle going around that middle first circle. So just take that, and this time I am going and doing all 10 tips, 5 and 5, without curing. So before you cure this, to get that line sketched in there, and do a little bit at a time and then go through and connect the dots. Basically just because of the way that the nail tips tuck in and go in the bumps, you want to make sure that you have it where it looks good from the beginning, and then you just kind of fan it out. So now I'm going to take a wider flat brush and I'm going to start blending up those colors going in towards the characters. So you're bringing that towards Bugs Bunny. And don't drop it like I did. That's not recommended, but just keep brushing that in. And I found it was easier to brush it towards myself, so that's why I ended up flipping this over, so I was bringing the brush towards my body. That way, it's just a personal preference, and you can always take and with either some nail cleanser or some acetone on your brush, you can clean up the edges just like you were doing a French tip. And you can clean those up, and then you can go ahead. Once you can either do 5 and 5 again if you'd like to, but once you are at a point where you feel like you can, go ahead and cure it just so you don't mess it up, like I said before. However, if you have the same situation like with me where I had the top of it there hadn't been blended out yet, you wouldn't want to cure it because then you won't be able to blend it out. So if you do have an extra area of colors started, you do really need to finish it before you cure it, or the whole thing is going to get all cured solid and then you won't be able to touch anything up. So keep that in mind. So same thing, blend it in towards the characters, clean up the line so that it has a little bit of a sharper ridge, and then add another section of this circle as much as you can, depending on the size of your nail tips and how big you painted everything. Maybe one circle surrounding the characters is all you're going to fit, but if you do have extra space, fill it in as much as you can. And I had more space underneath my characters than I had above them, which was intentional because I'm planning on making the Looney Tunes logo under the characters, so I had to make sure that I had space for that. So continue the little bit of circle that you have available at the top of it, cure that, and then go through with some yellow gel polish and apply that, first starting right around the characters, right where they are in that first circle that you painted back in the previous video. I showed you sketching out that initial circle. So go with yellow just right around that, and then blend that down towards the burgundy line. So you're blending the yellow away from the characters. So do that first one, and depending on your yellow gel polish, most of them aren't very pigmented, so this shouldn't be a problem. But if yours is extremely pigmented, you might want to dilute it with a little bit of Topcoat just so that it's not quite so intense. I am trying to get it so that you don't really see that it's yellow, it just looks like it's more of an orange color, and by using yellow, it blends out and it gets that appearance. But depending on, you have to know your products to know what's going to work best for you. So now do the same thing in the next circle going out, add the yellow going right around there, and then blend it down away from the characters. Just like so, and just keep working on it. I wasn't necessarily going for a completely smooth appearance with my gel. I want to look a little bit foggy or a little textured or whatever you want to think of it as, but blend those down so that it looks like it's just kind of fading in and out, and then at the very end of it and the corners of the nail, after you have those done, cure it and then work on the top section. So keep going around, adding your little bits of yellow here and there and blending them out. It's not too much yellow, so don't go too crazy with it, but it is enough just to give it a little bit of a highlight. It's almost kind of like fire looking. It goes from that slightly yellowy orange into some red, into some burgundy. Then apply some matte top coat over the background that you have with the gel polish. So over all of that you just did, and cure that so that it's not going to be sticky at all. So apply that like so. That'll prevent any dust from getting stuck in your nail tips, which would be really unfortunate to get a ways into a mural and then find out that you have some dust sneaking in there. So now with black acrylic paint, I'm going to start doing my Looney Tunes logo. And so this is underneath the characters, like I had said, in that bigger space that I had left. And I'm going to begin with the Y pretty much right in the center, add E, N, and then 2 O's before that. And the Looney Tunes logo, one thing that's kind of fun about it is that the letters aren't all spaced perfectly or written on a straight line. It's Looney, kind of goes up and down, and the letters aren't all the same size and they don't line up perfectly or anything like that, which is super beneficial when you're painting on a less than flat surface, because if your letters turn out a little bit less than perfect, it works out really great because they aren't supposed to be perfect. So you have a little bit more freedom to play around with them that way. After I have Looney done, I'm going to work on Tunes next to it, just like that. Then grabbing some white acrylic paint, I'm going to fill in the letters. And I know that they're yellow, but the reason that I didn't start out just right to my yellow acrylic paint is much like the yellow gel polish, yellow acrylic paint isn't always as pigmented as it could or should be. So I decided to add a layer of white on it underneath. That way it'll make my yellow paint really pop out without having to add 6 or 7 coats of it. It'll just take 1, so overall you are saving time. And adding that layer of yellow underneath just gives you kind of a clean slate to work on top of, and it's something that I do like to do, but it's optional. And depending, same thing, if you know your products and you know that your yellow acrylic paint will cover perfectly fine the first go around, you can skip this step and there's no need to worry about it. So fill in Looney and then Tunes, and this is an opportunity to touch up your lettering if you're like, I know it can be wonky, but this is a little bit extra crazy, it looks super uneven. Then this is an opportunity, like I said, to go through and touch that up and fix it. So now I've got my Tunes just about done, and after you do have that done, you can go through and start covering up all of that white paint with some yellow. And you want it to be a really nice bright yellow. You want it to show up really well. You want it to be vibrant and fun and sunny and goofy. So there's almost done. And adding the second layer goes way quicker than the first one. You know what you're going to be doing. You know what it was like the first time. It just seems like the second coat of anything goes so much quicker. After you have that done, you can go through and add little red shadow lines on all of your letters. This is one of the things that is so very distinctive about the Looney Tunes logo, is these little red lines. So take the tiniest brush you have and add those in there to really make them pop. Just like so, add them on every letter. So it's on the right sides of the letters and the bottom of the letters. So if you have that in mind and you kind of keep that going and keep the continuity with where the shadow is on there, it's pretty easy. Something that you do have to practice and get accustomed to when you're adding shadows to letters like this. But in this case, since you do have something that you can look at, you can just go ahead and look at the Looney Tunes logo and you know exactly, you can say, okay, this is where they are in the N, and this is where they are in the O's, and it gives you a nice little map to follow. So now behind the characters, around them, within that circle, so inside the circle, I'm taking a glittery medium blue gel polish and I'm going to be filling in all of my characters just so that they have a nice little background to start with. And I ended up filling in a little bit more than I needed to, but that's better than filling in not quite enough. So just keep adding that color behind them anywhere that you think it's supposed to go. And I know for me, after you've got all of these little lines in there for sketching out all of these different characters, that I think there's 9. I'd have to count again, but I believe that there's 9 characters, and that's quite a few to try to keep track of, and all of those different lines that are in there. So I ended up filling on a little bit more than I need to. But after you have that blue laid down, cure that again, and then after that you are ready to start the fun part for me, which is working on the characters, something that I was so eager to do. This was the inspiration for this entire design, was getting to paint Bugs Bunny. So I hope you guys like this design as much as I do, and if you have any questions about mural making or my experiences entering the contest, please ask them in the description box, or the comment box I mean, and I will answer them as soon as I can. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!